Yeah, baby. So back to where we were, gentlemen.
Vámonos.
Yeah.
Thank God there's a technician in the house. Thank God for Nick, the IT guy.
Nick,
How you guys doing?
People in the house, get up and scream and shout. Say hey, hey, hey.
All right, guys, we are live. Epic hype and warm-up pitch today. I got a good one for you, gentlemen. How you guys feeling, by the way?
Great.
Feeling
Love
good? Yeah? Ready to do this?
Especially with his music.
You
Yeah,
like those bumps?
groovy.
Okay, so let me set the table for today's discussion. Where should I start? I got it. I know. Here's the pitch. Bill, I'm going to throw a fastball right down the middle. You ready to catch this?
Let's do it.
So, Bill, let's talk kilowatts. Which of the following cities up in the Bay do you think are most likely to train a state-of-the-art LLM, large language model for those of you catching up, by the end of the year to consume millions and millions of kilowatts in terms of hours, enough to power thousands of homes for a year? And here's your choices. So again, I'm looking for which one of these cities that you think is the logical, educated, best guess of who's going to get there first to power thousands of homes within their city, training state-of-the-art LLMs. A, Oakland, Palo Alto, or Mountain View?
Mountain View.
Tony?
I would say Mountain View, unless you had a Fremont in there. But yeah, Mountain View.
Of course it's Mountain View. And what are we doing in 2 weeks in Mountain View? What are we doing, Bill?
We're doing the AI-INFRA Summit at Microsoft's Silicon Valley campus in Mountain View.
Absolutely. So that was a nice little tee up to get this show started today. Hello, friends. My name is EP, and I'm happy to welcome you guys to another epic hype adventure. I want to give some props to our sponsor today. So allow me to bring up a great sponsor that you're going to hear me talk about today, and that's not them. Let's try it over here. Love Live. We're going to go over here and just stop sharing that and come over here and start sharing this. This is why I need to have that full-time person helping me out on the edits, right? There we go. RSA. I got it up. Kendo. Thank you very much. Kendo is going to be the sponsor for today's show. Kendo offers an AI native security and infrastructure automation platform. Let me ask you guys a question. If you could reduce the amount of remediation time down from hours into seconds for each critical SOC alert that you get, Tony, sitting there looking at them all coming through like Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, and produce more accuracy and control them faster, better, more accurate than ever before, would you do it? Of course you would. So go check them out. They're going to be at RSA at the Flatiron Wine location. It's about a 7-minute walk away from Moscone North. And you guys can go to kendo.ai. And at the very top, you can actually get all the details where Kendo AI will be sponsoring that event. So thank you, Kendo. All right, guys. So welcome to the show. And want to give some introductions to these fine gentlemen. We'll go age before beauty. There's the smile I'm looking for. Age before beauty.
Which one? I'm not kind of clear what that is, which one that would be.
He is perhaps the most interesting man in the world, who I am extremely happy to also call a friend. He is the director of partnerships with Actian, and he is a startup investor with his own company, Human Capital Ventures Corporation. He is Tony Latigre, otherwise known as Tony Zirnoon. Everybody give it up for Tony.
How are you?
Nice to have you here, my friend.
Good to
And
be
in
here.
this corner, just add gasoline and watch the man ignite. He is also the CEO for Ignite GTM and the co-founder of an epic conference we are going to be hyping today here on the Epic Hype Show called AI-INFRA Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Bill Barry. Nice to have you on the show, gentlemen. You guys are looking fine. Bill, liking that hat. You know, I gotta get some of that swag in a couple of weeks.
We'll get you swagged up properly.
So speaking of swag for the event, I said co-founder. You want to give a little shout out for the other founder of AI-INFRA?
Yeah. So, we started that a few years ago, and my wife, Nikki Berry, is actually a co-founder of Ignite as well. And then, as the market progressed, and we started AI-INFRA last year. If you see the past pictures, she was actually waddling on 9 months pregnant. So
Wow.
yeah, we co-founded that show, and now for this upcoming one, you will see the baby. You will probably see Evie, 1 year old, and she's a great marker on, AI-INFRA, and she's growing up with the summit, basically.
Man, so talk about growing up in AI. Like, think about that. She's in that generation. What's her name?
Evie, Evelyn.
I love that. I love that. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about your other baby, and of course, I'm talking about this beautiful one right here. I'm going to pull it up in the background. AI-INFRA Summit.
Mm.
Bring it up for you here. We had Kendo earlier. Now we're going to show this one. There we go. See, I'm getting better at this thing. Thank you, StreamYard, by the way. I love this platform. Bill, is it fair to say that the AI-INFRA Summit is one of the world's most relevant and coolest AI conferences, maybe not just in the Bay, but maybe in the USA?
Yeah, I think that's a fair description. We're relatively young, but so is the kind of the AI-INFRA conversation. So I feel like we're in the forefront of that. From a relevancy standpoint, I mean, every day we are, constantly tuning our abstracts to make sure that we capture exactly where the conversation is right now around AI infrastructure. Highly fragmented, a lot of layers that don't talk to each other. So I feel like from a technical standpoint, it makes sense when you get there, it'll make sense why those people are in the room, and we take a lot of care in making sure that we have the right topics, we have the right speakers, we have the right energy, and we can deliver this in style too, right? Because a lot of this stuff, picks and shovels, is pretty dry,
Yeah.
historically, right? So we're trying to present this in a more digestible form for the Silicon Valley audience to be able to say, this is where the puck is right now, but this is where it's moving. And I feel like we really embody that.
So, Bill, I'm a huge guy with startups. So is my partner here, Tony. We love the startup world. Tony's the one that introduced me to you. So props. Thank you for the introduction, Tony.
Yeah.
You kind of started up yourself, Bill, back in 21, I believe. So
Yeah.
take us through the excitement, the angst, the stress of kind of taking what I always refer to as the jump. That was only a short 4 years ago. You had an idea. What was the concept? Where were you? Were you at a bar? Were you watching Friends? Were you watching Bachelor? Like what? Where were you? Like when it kind of like came into your mind, I'm doing this. And then how does it feel to be where you're at now? And what are some of the attributes of the success that you've had?
Yeah, great question. So, how did this come about? I in my later years, I had a small exit at 2019, and I started, taking on big roles, strategic alliance roles. Um, and as those jobs progressed, like from 20 to 22, um, one of the common threads is like everybody needs GTM, and especially here in Silicon Valley, we have a land of founders, great ideas, right? And if these great ideas don't get to market, they die quietly in the dark. So I feel like GTM was one of those things that everybody needs, and it could be a huge service, especially for the startup community. And it just started as a go-to-market consulting company, and then over the past 3 or 4 years, we've ate our own dog food as far as product market fit. What does the market really want? Not that we wanted to be an events company. I think that was a joke in 2024. We just literally had an advertisement that says we're not an events company, but that's definitely the market has been pulling us there. And I'd still say we're not built for a strategic or an events company, but because we understand the tech and we're able to get down and peel those onion layers, I think that kind of has evolved us now to doing these strategic events. AI
Yeah.
infra is one that we could talk in our sleep. It's in our DNA. It just really makes sense, and it looks like we're also winning the trust of our big tech friends.
Yeah.
And then the sponsorships over 3 shows has definitely grown. So yeah, it's not a straight line, and we couldn't have scripted it. It was a series of zigs and zags, but here we are.
I got to tell you, man, and I'm not looking to get a free hat from you when I'm about to drop.
Yeah.
I'll give you two
are
hats.
you're probably one of the most humble, calm, smart guys that I've met that do what you're doing. Usually it's like a three-legged stool. You need to have those. Usually it's like, oh, he's a really smart person, but man, he's just like, just all over the place. Or smart, been there, done that, egotistical.
Ivory
You
Towers. Yeah.
you have the right mix, man. Like,
Oh, thank you.
and I again I say that that's why I'm here. When Tony introduced me, I was like, I went to your show, your event in Santa Monica, right down the street from Kendo, actually. And I was like, all right, I love what these guys are building. It's early. My God, you've already done this 4 times. You told me the number of bodies that were going to be showing up for the summit. And I'm like, wait a second, you already have a summit? So anybody out there, the innovators, the startups where you need to have a voice, you need to make a splash. There's some of the big shows out there. Tony, what do they charge? 50, 100,000 to show up. Oh, forget that. We'll go spend the $6,000 and get a 3-night hotel. What do you call it? The big suite. That's getting tougher to do. No, you need to get with the community and really, this is a fantastic opportunity. It's right on the tails of a lot of people, Tony, that are going to be going to the other show earlier up at Moscone in the heart of San Francisco called RSA. So Tony and I are going to be doing what I call the tango, where we're going back to back. Tony, we have to preserve these things, right? I'm not talking about the turkey neck. Voice. I'm talking about the voices. So Tony, we're doing back to backs. I think you bring, Tony, an exceptional value to AI infra with all of your cybersecurity partners and your network that you see Bill nodding his head that bleed over into AI infrastructure. Tony, how did you find Bill, first of all, Tony, or did Bill find you? How did that all go down?
Very good. I was just going to comment, but so Bill said 3 words that were key. That's how we connected. GTM. We were on a judging panel, right? Like, I don't know, 20 different people, and we were listening to the same thing. And then after a call, we both connected. And then it was during COVID, actually. We had a couple of calls, and he said what he was doing. I said what I'm doing, and then just became kind of like a magnetism. Like, hey, look, we're trying to go to the same place. We both enjoy the same things. And even though I think Bill said that they're not an events company, and that's 100% true, what they are very unique, they are a community building company. That I can tell you. And that's what attracted me. You know me, and I love building trusted communities, right? What I do, I'm a human that builds, what is it? A trusted human bridge, if you call it, right? For cyber and AI. So for me, it's always been part of this. During COVID, also been part of a think tank called Tortora Brida Institute. And part of that, we had different task forces. One was to address the talent gap for cyber and AI, right? How many cybersecurity guys that are also data scientists, right? It's supposed to solve it. It's a big problem. And that's where Kendo comes actually to play and helps democratize that a little bit, right? I think that the other part is, hey, what is the world going to be when cyber and AI meet? Is it security for AI? Is it AI for security? Or is it the governance? What happens to the data governance, the AI governance? Like, you're adding this attack surface, and it's going really, really fast. So I've been passionately involved, and Bill and I've talked about it. And they, often security people come in and say, "Oh my God, sky is falling, sky is falling." Well, guess what? This time sky ain't falling. You ain't have to worry about it, because if I see what I see becomes true, and I think it's happening, is if you're thinking that you're going to be able to bolt on security this time around, like we tried in virtualization, cloud, IoT, and all that kind of stuff, you ain't have to worry about the sky falling. What you need to worry about is that the earth beneath you will open up and swallow you whole. So that's the passion, and I think the community that Bill, Nikki, Jessica, and the team have built up, right? It has been a gravitas, right? I mean, that's my natural order. So we've just been building this, and it was just inevitable. I'm like, hey, look, let's do more together. Let's do more together. So I'm very proud to be part of the family and part of the community, and it's been growing. So it's inevitable, Bill. you may not be an event company, but man, you're a community leader and a community builder, and there's a few other ones out there in part of the team, and you guys gonna come and meet them.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Bill, you got a couple of Persian dudes kind of throwing some love around. You're going to have a bigger community growing faster than you know it.
Yeah, it's about building bridges, man.
I love it. Bill, let's talk about the peeps that you've got, man. Wow. Like, kudos to you for who you've got lined up. Let me put this back up. I was looking at the sponsors, and I you had shared a few of them with me, and it wasn't until I actually started like looking at the website again a little bit closer. I'm like, dang, he's got some heavy hitters. I think I have it back up. Can you guys see that there? Yeah. You got Weka, you've got Super Micro, you've got, I just had them up here. Here we go. Microsoft. You've got Super Micro, AMD. And I mean, some great speakers coming out. Like, I was impressed with those that you had over in Santa Monica, which I think you probably would refer to as one of your regional events. And it was, let's put it this way, it felt 10 times bigger than it was. In other words, like, if I take the number of people and the number of speakers, it felt 10 times bigger. And that's the key to a startup, right? So, like, talk to me about like who you're super excited that's new in terms of new vendors, new vendors that are going to be there, or speakers that you've gotten to ink coming to speak on something that is like close and near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate. The AI-INFRA started as the short conversation is, hey, we need to have a GTC for everybody else in infra, right? And then so my buddies at Supermicro AMD were able to support that. At first it was Supermicro, and then AMD joined in the second event. Now we have Microsoft and we have Weka. But just between those logos alone, Supermicro is a $30 billion company, AMD is a $300 billion company, and Microsoft's a $3 trillion company, right? Awesome. So just to have our logo next to these guys and to have them trust us and work with us is, it's our Super Bowl for sure. But some of the folks that we're really excited about, because it's not just about, this is a really important distinction. I think when we get into, we observe different shows, once your logos get too big, then you have a tendency to get into the ivory tower mode. These are just the sponsors, and then they should come, right? And whoever comes. We take that as the first marker. And then the second marker is, do we really understand infrastructure? Do we really understand who's going to be there? Well, who's building cool things? Who are the upstarts, right? So Weka jumping in is, I think, been a huge, they're not an upstart, they're a $1.3 billion company, but I think that they bring such a fresh energy, enterprise energy to it. It's all about thought leadership. It's all about solving the problems, and they've been a fantastic partner so far. But other technologies that I'm really excited about, we have Wrapped on stage, and Wrapped has a very good partnership with AMD. And I think that they have the potential to democratize a lot of the things and cover the gap that AMD has with their software compared to CUDA, right? Kamiwaza, we've been working with them for the past year and a half. They've been doing fantastic in being able to penetrate the enterprise logos, solving big problems for like brands like Campbell's Soup, 22 use cases, right? So, and they have quite a bit other logos that they're going to be presenting on. And then a smaller startup and upstart is Central Access. Met Margarita, met the founder. The data center infrastructure management space needs to be modernized. And I feel like they are the right founders. They have the right lens, they have the right experience, and their UI is beautiful. This is what managing a data center should feel like with their software. So we're excited about those guys.
That's awesome. And then Tony, you're going to be hosting a panel. Can you throw out there what the topic is going to be and give a little shout out to who you've got up on the stage with you?
Sure. I was thinking about what can we add and how can we, what is it we talked about? Come get uncomfortable with us.
That's good. I know where you're going with
that. It was about conversations. So Richard from XOC is there, and Zhang is also there. So these are folks that are really focusing about the unknown risks, like things that we're not thinking. And when I was, reading about some of their talks, about AI-driven attacks against AS-256.
Yep.
And the fact that security has been kind of static, and how do we change the game with AI, right? We've seen this in application layer, so this is like be always a moving target. So there are a lot of interesting conversations, things that we should really think about. How do we take a strategy about a built-in approach to security this time around, right? As we're building this, is being much faster, right? Let's not make the same mistake. There is no shift left for AI, right? It's like, look, it's out. It has live and it's running away. You got to come.
It's a zoom right.
It's like
zoom right. I like it.
Yeah, it's the zoom right. It's a training the babies, right? So if you don't pay focus on the early childhood development, what's going to happen? The kid's going to have a lot of different problems, different behaviors, right? This is why you don't put children in front of a MTV when they're 2 or 3 years old, or let them watch I don't know, Twilight Zone, whatever we were watching, right?
Is that what happened to me? Too much Billy Idol.
You just described my name.
But I watched the Twilight Zone, so I don't know, man. It was like a El Coche Fantastico, right? That was the Knight Rider. And I think the other part is, hey, the data, right? So if you don't feed the baby proper food, what happens? You have early childhood obesities and blah, 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 right? So using that analogy, I think we need to do everything we can for data governance, right? For sensitive data intelligence. What data gets to go through my training model without me having to worry about compliance and fines and things like that, but also tainting my models, right? And you have to build that resiliency. That's what the conversation is about. I think we have some very good conversation. And then how do you get in front of it, right? Who's doing the offensive security for that? How do we go? What kind of assessments can we do, right? And this is what I was telling you about the think tank, that we're working with other entities from NATO and others. A European entity has provided some guidelines and mandates for AI. US is lagging behind, right? We need to have those guidelines. You are familiar with HIPAAs and PCI and whatnot. Sure. We need to have that for AI. So as people are trying to build this AIs, train them and things like that, there is a blueprint for doing that, right? How do we make sure, what are the do's and don'ts for raising this AI children, right? Before they zoom right? Because once they're out, man, good luck, right? Good luck catching them.
Yeah. I'm going to lob a question up to you a little bit later, and you're going right there. And it goes right with what I was saying earlier, why Bill brought you over here, because of the blend of coming from the cyber world and what we're going to need to be doing to protect a lot of the stuff that we're building. But before I go there, Bill, let's get into the experiential, making up new words, the experiential part of this summit. Like, where's it at? I mean, we don't have a video or a map that I can take people through. Maybe we do that next time, but break down the actual value of people that what they're going to be able to take from it. Is it an indoor and outdoor? Are there lounges? Kind of like sprinkle some stuff that we're going to see in terms of people walking in. There's some giant flamingos in the front courtyard. What do we got going on?
Tropicana.
We are waiting for the flamingos, but they might have been affected by the tariffs. So I think we are going to mix those.
They're in Tony's pool. You can ask him. He can bring them.
Yeah, Tony, bring the flamingos, man. A couple things. I think I want to touch upon the last question we had as far as security. Security is absolutely important. We are one big breach away from this being at the top of the list for the conversation around AI infrastructure and securing, right? But as we've seen in previous waves, when we were building these, in the 2000s, that we're building these data centers, right? We had to it was a fortress model. You had to put the firewall behind the thing that you're trying to protect. We had to shift at cloud native, right? Because now data is everywhere. Yeah. Right. And then the way that we secure the data is changing. So I feel like AI right now is still in the, hey, let's just see what the use cases are, what is really practical, what can we implement. So the data is everywhere right now, especially with agentic, right? Mm-hmm. But it is true that once we have that big breach, we are in a zoom right land, right? And it's going to be harder to bring these things in, because not only that we have data, we have agents making those decisions for us. And then imagine a multi-agent structure where then now, how do you troubleshoot that? Which agent gave the wrong instruction, right? So I feel like for AI infra and connecting with RSA, those two conversations need to come together. And I really appreciate Tony kind of really moving carrying that flag, because education burns a lot of fuel, but it's completely necessary. And he's saying, let's get uncomfortable. Let's start talking about this. So I totally
Great timing.
support that. Yeah. And then as far as experiential, you guys can go to the AI-INFRA site. You'll see great footage. There's fantastic footages of the Microsoft campus, which is beautiful.
Okay.
We're really honored to be there. So we're going to be taking over the left, I think it's the left wing of the Microsoft campus. And you know what people should experience. It's a nice venue, and we're going to have a powerhouse lineup of speakers. Every single one of those speakers we curated and making sure that it is timely and it's relevant. So I feel like it's going to be a really good learning day.
Okay.
And for folks from an experience standpoint, it's really designed to be transient. There's the main stage, there's a breakout room, there's boardroom sessions, there's the expo roundtable. So it should feel like a city. And if you show up and you feel like you need to be at two places at one time, then we really designed this correctly from an experiential standpoint.
Awesome. How do I actually pop up that map? I want you kind of sucked me in when you started talking about the campus.
Oh, well, so the videos are on the campus up top, and we haven't published the map yet, but we will.
Okay.
We'll be publishing that with the agenda. And then we're also working on a infra GPT for guests, so then they can, you know, find out what the next boardroom sessions and things like
Very
that,
cool.
and also the map. Yeah.
Nice. Look at you teasing that out. I like that. Tony, back to you on the security piece, because it's a real hot topic, and I think it's great, a great topic to discuss, and why you're a part of this org. Let's talk about the edge, right? When I say the edge, I'm talking about the efficient models and better hardware. AI inference is now happening on phones, satellites, drones, even the cars. I saw, Bill, you've got gentlemen speaking on behalf of Toyota that's going to be there. It's not just cloud servers. So, Tony, with all the AI expansion comes the demand for cybersecurity and new compliance requirements. Is this a business opportunity or a business nightmare, or both?
I think it's both, right? I mean, if you don't address it, then you know you know, when you build the stacks, you're not just building stacks in infra. I think the conversation was you're stacking up liabilities, right? So as you're building your AI infrastructure, you're going to have to realize that. I think that we have to start with something simple, right? I mean, what is AI built on? It's data, right?
Right.
So you hear data is the new oil, there's new, you know, gold. I think data is like caviar, right? It needs to be, you know, pristine. It has to be labeled. It has to be, you know, maintained. If you want to have beluga caviar, right? And you know, with time, right? Oil doesn't change. Caviar does. It rots.
Right.
Data has rot, right? Becomes redundant, obsolete, and trivial. So you have to be able to understand what data sets you want. Where is my data? Is it across the different silos, right? That we're talking about. They don't even know where the data is. They don't know what's the quality of that data. Data sorts out the problem. Ergo, about a year and a half ago, you know me to be in cyber, I got asked to move into a data. I work for a data company, not a cyber.
Yep.
I mean, that's challenging for me, right? I mean, like
Yep.
I got my cyber side of it, but we live in the world of data, and we're thinking about moving ahead with helping democratize data intelligence, right? And data governance being a subset of it. If you can start there, if you can manage the data set and you can make the right controls, you have a better chance that even if the models are now suddenly, access or whatever, so the right data is there. You don't have this massive exposure, right? Send the right data. Don't put sensitive data into these AIs, because they start bartering behind your back.
Yep.
And then now you have, like, you know, what was it back in the days, you know, DARPA, you know, connected with another one and started kind of chatting. If you go to Computer History Museum, you can see that chat that happened back in the days between these two bots. It's fascinating, right? So I think it is a business opportunity for those that are, you know, and you'll see that at RSA. If you come to RSA, be prepared. You're going to have a very close experience to what the aneurysm may look like, because everybody's the same. People come over there, look at it.
That's kind of how I feel at RSA.
Yeah, it does. Okay, AI security, right? So I think Ken Elephant put a blog at Sorensen, and he talks about baby zombies, and he talks about one of them being this AI security or DSPM, right? There's a lot of them, too many vendors. EP, you know this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, everybody sounds the same, but there is true value in thinking about this and making it part of the ecosystem. Don't be a bolt-on, be a built-in. That's a business opportunity. And the liability, you know, let's just build it. This AI, you know, blah, 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 right? And that's what I'm really worried about. Like if we don't address this right, think about the data governance, think about AI governance. You're raising a kid, you need to make sure what you're feeding the kid and how are you behaviorally conditioning that kid. Don't put your kid in front of a TV. Feed them organic food.
I think there's also this little gap that we all should pay attention to, because data is the new oil, and every single AI transformation conversation that we have with enterprise ends up with, but what about data, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a host of solutions out there that can make data structuring easy. So you go from unstructured to structured. Now you can use AI, right? But that whole unstructured to structured, there's no governance there. So when you have an agent all of a sudden just cherry picking whatever data you have, you're going to get some surprises of what gets out there and exposed.
That brings me up. When you asked me who's going to be there, one of the reasons I was trying to get a commitment, and I did. So one of my good friends, who's a founder of OneTouch.io, is going to be there. And then guess what? He's there to cover that topic, exactly that data intelligence. ISSTAC, right? Is going to be there, and he's going to be talking about what are companies doing what are they doing to help the companies, get to their data governance, and they live and breathe sensitive data intelligence, where we actually are partnering up also with them at Actian, right? You can see how this is marriage together, right? Because you need to be able to discover, classify the data, and tag them properly at a very scalable manner across a ubiquitous environment, right? Things are not just in Databricks or in Snowflake, right? You're going to have things in mainframes that you need to bring in, right? How do you
Endpoints?
That's awesome, Tony, that OneTouch is going to be there. Definitely want to get a 5-minute hype with him at the show. So wait for that intro.
Awesome.
Also, I love, I seem to get one or two great Tonyisms that we can turn into t-shirts. So
daily,
not bolt on, bolt in. And then I'm going to give Bill credit. I want to see it. Zoom right. Those are great shirts. Right. I like that. Somebody out there's
about
going
to zoom right.
All right, you guys ready to play a little game?
Let's do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all about gamification. We got to have some fun and throw some edutainment into the mix. So I'm going to share this tab and bring you guys into a game that I call Buy or Sell. And I'm going to basically ask you guys some questions. I'm going to throw up some topics and then basically just looking to see if you guys are buying or selling. Pretty simple, right? So your overall take. And then obviously you got 2 cents you want to add. Please, by all means, bring your genius to the party. So here we go. I think I got 5 or 6 of these. Number 1, training foundation models in-house. Do you guys believe companies should invest in training their own large models instead of using the off-the-shelf ones? Are you buying or selling?
Sell.
Both of you guys are selling.
Yeah, selling. It's just it's not practical. And I think, if you just deploy agentic or even just look at it as a small language model for your own context in your own company, I think the majority of the market's going to start there. It just makes no sense to try to compete with OpenAI, DeepSeek even. You heard the DeepSeek news, right? And so that layer is going to be democratized. So sell.
I love it. And when I put this game together, what I had in mind is for all those that are on the fence, these are the topics that are going to be there amongst your peers. These are the topics that you can ask questions about. Finding guys like, Tony and Bill, they're going to be there and they'll point you to people to have a further, deeper dive conversation. So thank you for your 2 cents on that one, guys. All right. Number 2, relying fully on cloud providers, the big providers out there, AWS, GCP, Azure. Is the future of AI infrastructure all in on public cloud, or is it time to diversify and go hybrid?
No.
So
time to move.
gonna go hybrid for sure. And I think there's keep in mind there's a Hotel California effect, right? For public cloud. There's a reason why they give you a lot of candies and credits in the front end, because they want you to stay there until the data grab gets so large that you can't move out when you start scaling. So definitely we are in the multi-cloud team, and it makes sense.
Can I read something? We asked the chat, the infra.
Yeah, infra GPT. Go ahead.
Yeah, I asked them to come up with it. It says, Abe, EP, why did the AI break with the cloud hyperscalers?
And
too many commitments, not enough GPUs, and it just couldn't handle the emotional latency.
The emotional latency. Love that.
And that was from our infra GPT last night.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And they say there's the real intelligence behind it all. All right, numero, what do we got? Trace, fine tuning versus retrieval augmented generation, otherwise known as RAG. Which is the long-term bet for cost-effective customization? Full fine tuning or using RAG pipelines?
RAG.
It keeps shifting, but I think it's RAG now. I mean, there were people, it's like, yeah, RAG is too much, but now they ragged on RAG and RAG is back.
RAG
Okay,
is
no
back.
one's ragging on
And then
RAG, and you got these two guys
that's
buying.
it connected to the first question, which is, people are not going to build their own LLMs. So the fine tuning is not as relevant, right? But it's got workflows and outcomes is going to win. So RAG.
There's
Love
actually
that.
platform plays, EP, as you know, that they're trying to really democratize that. I mean, in cyber, I can tell you one company to look for is called Arrived with the I after the A. Just a plug, because I really like the guy who's been building this. And he's basically bringing you an AI or Gen AI factory. And there's basically a bunch of companies doing that. He's just doing it in cyber. And there are other people doing it, like even like Kamiwaza, and a few other ones are coming here. That one you can insource or you can outsource, right? There's other guys like Agentic AI, right? There's another company that helps you build those things. So you can insource or outsource, but certainly, you're not going to find a lot of data scientists to be able to get you where you need to go fast enough, right? So there are platforms that you can leverage where they democratize this, whatever LLM you want, and then now hope they either have skills, you can join those skills, build agentic AI agents, and then join the agents and create agentic apps, right? Really think about the problems. The glory is not redoing the same thing. Use the factories that already exist or coming up. So there's a real opportunity for people building these Gen AI factories or
Super
LLM
cool.
training. Yeah.
Is Arrive going to be at AI-INFRA?
I think Anurag will be there. Yes.
Okay, great. That's another intro I would love to have for a epic hype clip. All right, number 4, spending big on GPUs in 2025. The exponential growth of GPUs over CPUs over the last 10 years is something that little plug for Ron Williams over at Kendo talks about. It's a big part of the story. Are you guys bullish that buying, hoarding GPUs is still smart, or is it time to stop the gold rush?
Depends on who you are. If you are enterprise, and then the conversation was, are we going to stay in public cloud or build our own systems? Then you're going to have to buy the GPUs. But then you'll have to take a look at the TCO and ROI of that, right? And that's its own calculation. I think for younger companies, startups, if it's not public cloud, there's tons of great private cloud options that are more customizable, more white glove, and more supportive to what you're trying to build. So that's my answer for GPUs.
That's an awesome answer. I like how you're buying that, and I know who I'm going to lean on when I need a consultant to come in to actually have that massive mega conversation for the big companies. So good job. Any input from your side, Tony?
I think you also have to think about, where is it that you need to use GPUs? I mean, you need to use more efficient CPUs, right? Not everything needs to be done on GPUs, right? So if you're doing inference stuff, right? Again, going back to the data, if you've done that stuff, so GPUs are great. But if you're trying to do kernel level math, stuff like that, right? Maybe that's what you want to put on, on GPUs, and like offload certain things to GPUs and do everything else. So yes, buy it, but also don't just rely on it, right? There may be other cheaper ways to do a lot of the things that you don't need to do that inference, right? With GPU. So you may be able to have a good mixture, right? Have a conversation with AMD. They will tell you there are other alternatives to mix and match.
Okay. I like it. I think I got 2 more for you. Number 5, open source infrastructure tools. Talking LLMs, Ray, Langchang. Is the open source ecosystem the backbone of future AI infra, or are you guys thinking proprietary tech is going to win it out?
The answer is both. But there is a huge value of open source, right? 90% of the data centers right now are on Linux. If people didn't know that, that's the importance of having open source be there, because it is going to out innovate any proprietary systems. But I think that the proprietary systems are valuable because they help set the definition of what's possible, right? So I feel like if you're looking at the AI infra stack, that the open source will be from the core to the edges, and the proprietary systems will start from the edges going back into the core, right? Because that's where the use cases are, especially for inferencing. So it's a little bit of both, but go open source.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, one indicator is I was talking earlier. I think yesterday there was an announcement that Microsoft backed out from their dedication of a lot of data centers for OpenAI training.
Wow.
And people are like, what's going on there, right? It's not a retreat, it's a reshuffle, right? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think they've committed $80 billion to do this. And what they're seeing is that, look, the return on investment of this training is not coming back with OpenAI when you have DeepSeek, right? So they're looking at, like, where am I going to invest those expensive resources that's going to lend me ROI? So a lot of people are thinking about that, the power constraints that exist, right? The inflation in build cost, so how are they going to reshuffle those dollars so that they can gain some ROI? I think that's
agree. I agree. That's a reshuffle for sure. So one of the things we keep on talking about the training models and up in that the data centers, but I think there's a lot of clues underneath the layers, the power, the land and power side, right? Just in the past 6 months, let's just say, the amount of conversations that we're in around alternative energy and what's possible has evolved so quickly, right? So today's conversation is in the right land environment with natural gas available, we can roll out a 50 megawatt power plant in 6 months, right? And that is unheard of. That was unheard of 6 months ago. But now we have solutions that be able to do that. So my guess is for Microsoft, with a large investment like this, not only is it about the models, but it's about how people are building data centers at the infrastructure, the hard infrastructure layers. And that is evolving so fast. So this looks like a reshuffle by
But guys, I mean, it just came out on Monday. China just finished, I think it was like level 3 compliance for a nuclear plant. And, I'm down south of you guys. There's this little plant down here in San Onofre, nuclear power plant that has been out of commission for, I'm going to say, probably 15, 20 years. I just read an article on it. If you guys have ever driven from like Newport Beach down to San Diego, you look to the right, you guys can't miss it, right? It's San Onofre. And I just wonder, I mean, Edison owned it. I think the state owns it now, but how long before would they consider resurrecting that thing based on the technology shift that we're having? It's an exciting time to be in tech. Living this close to that plant, I hope it doesn't happen. But I'll never forget when I had, on my docs for buying a house, I had to sit back. One of the little, in the details, I have to acknowledge and recognize it's all nuclear conversation about if this happens.
And not only that nuclear plant, Edward, but also micronuclear solutions are being rolled out. Now, in other countries like China, they have a little bit more leeway from a regulatory standpoint. Obviously, on our side, it's a scarlet letter. It's a little bit of taboo. Is my fish going to have 3 eyes? Kind of conversation, right? So it is. I think micronuclear here is coming. It's available, but it's going to be a state by state decision. And but there's so much more alternative energy solutions out there that doesn't have that kind of friction.
Good point.
Right?
Yep. Great point. All right. Last one. Edge inference over cloud inference. Is the shift, speaking of shifts, is the shift towards running models on devices like phones, cars, and sensors the future, or is this just hype, guys?
It is not hype. I think the universal, 20 years in the space, the universal rule is more intelligence closer to the edge whenever possible. That's just a rule that everybody would follow, right? So our mobile devices are getting stronger, and the more that it could do, the more that it will do. So I think that, mobile, the endpoints, the user endpoints are going to be super important, especially for security. I really think that those solutions are going to come in from the edge in, right? But we're going to need other kind of edges. We're going to need a telco edge, we'll need a data center edge, right? And then the weight on how much intelligence we can shift to the edges is really going to be determined by what technology is available. Right? And there's my plug for AI-INFRA Summit.
So cool, because I know you're going to have guys talking about this. I'm really excited. Another great topic to have in conversation. Tony, you got 2 cents on that one?
I think, I second that. I think, where possible, we're going to leverage the edge. You see the smart edge to cloud, right? All that kind of stuff is happening. You're looking at not only database infrastructures, right? And we're investing in at Actian at Zen, right? Which is called 0 dBA embedded nano footprint because it can be fitting in that and provide the scale you need. But also the security and controls need to be at the edge. Because remember, this is the Zoom, right, that Bill was talking about. Part of it, right, actually is the kids are out of the house very early, right, and just go, right, and just they're out of your control. They're living remote in some other foreign country doing whatever they need to do. So you better have train them, and you better have to put enough controls on them before you let them loose, right? I think one thing you're talking about, I think the biggest challenge that I see, Bill, is the infrastructure constraints, right? I mean, around these data centers, right, that they're trying to build, going back to the topic. And I think there's a lot of improvement, but there's a lot of red tape to be caught, that need to be caught to get there. Like, if you look at Ohio, Illinois, and other places that they were applying for doing this, they're just taking too long, right? Too long is happening. So if those things are not happening, people are going to find alternate ways. And maybe it is to look at edges to kind of offset that and say, look, fine, I'm not going to wait for this. I'm just going to invest some edge, that it can do the
bigger shift. I would, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this if you feel differently, but 5G edge never happened because telco was in the way, right? They have status quo to protect, right? And then so here on this edges, I think there's going to be everybody should be in this like modernize or die type of mentality. Data center, everybody across the whole value chain. So let's make this edge. It's going to be further democratized with AI. And I think this edge should be what it should have been for 5G that never got fulfilled.
Agreed.
I like it. You guys did a great job. Congratulations on playing buy or sell. I heard a lot of buying in there. There's a few sells, and you guys, your comments. I mean, this is great. This is like priceless, the stuff that's coming out. Because again, for those of you guys that are contemplating hanging out for just another extra day and taking a 40-minute drive, Bill, from RSA down the road. Was that the 5 freeway? I don't even know what freeway that is. Is that the 5?
That's 101.
101. It's like our 5.
Yes. So definitely think it's worth your while. All right, guys. I want to give you guys a chance. I started to hear Tony talk a little bit about Actian. I want to give you guys an opportunity to throw some what I like to refer to as a shameless plug. So throw it out. What's going on in your life? What do you guys got going on? Obviously, we know what Bill's got going on, but Bill, give you a chance to maybe talk a little bit more about Ignite. How can people find you? Obviously, we're talking about AI-INFRA. You guys know the website. Bill's going to give you another reminder how to get there and get signed up. I'm assuming there's still space. Start with you, Tony. Throw a little plug. How can people find you on the in the webosphere and what's going on over at Actian?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely on LinkedIn. If you go LinkedIn/in/Zirnoon, which is my last name, Zirnoon is there. You get to see me. Where I am, I'm focusing on building, again, communities, partnerships, right? For a company called Actian. We are the data analytics, data intelligence division of a bigger company called HCL Software, right? We just finished our fiscal year. We actually just started it. And the focus is going to be on further enhancing companies in their journey, in their data prep journey, from data governance to data intelligence, like really making dealing with data easy, right? Whether it's at the edge, which is a Zen, or some traditional databases. If you've been around, Ingress, Informix, Actian owns them, and we provide the support and the roadmap. But it's also about breaking these data pipelines, data integrations, ETL type stuff you need to do, everything you need to do a data pipeline. And now we've invested into the metadata layer. Can I extract data intelligence regardless of where my data is, right? So kind of doing that using knowledge graphs, right? And that's where we invested, and really the focus is that. So my goal is to help us find the right partners. I look for what I call data carpenters, people who achieve outcomes around data, right? And that's what my focus is every day. Find these partners. We're signing up great partners. And our goal in this AI journey is to help you prep before you go to that ghost kitchen to build your AI, right? Make sure you have all the products ready, everything ready. Once you go rent that space, you don't want to forget about the pan and the olive oil and the tomatoes, right? So it's going to cost you a lot, right? So that's what we're doing. And exactly, and the capers, So yeah, that's what I do. And then for continue on that. My passion is connecting people, building communities, and have you started having that conversation. So I also help early stage startups that meet between cyber and AI and adjacency, right? In helping it, just like Bill and I do, like from go to market, but also with their get the right money from the right people, right? We don't need more Me Too players in cyber, EP, you know that, right? So I'm trying to help them, right? Don't sell your soul, right? And then guide them through that. And that gives me a lot of passion and, satisfaction.
I love it. And we know you got lots of passion, my friend. Thanks for being here today. Bill, Mr. Barry.
Yes. Yeah. So
Where do people
shameless
find
plug,
you?
huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where do we go to find you?
Yeah, so first find us at ignitegtm.com. As mentioned in our evolution, right? We started as just go-to-market consulting for startups, and we built these communities. We met fantastic allies and advisors and friends like Tony and Edward. But now a lot of our work has really been pulled into the infrastructure side of things. So we have a sister company called infracore.ai. You can also find it there, and that's going to be focusing more on the land and power. How do we get all these landowners, people with natural gases, and how fast can we get them into ready PowerShells for AI workloads? That's what InfraCore does. From an Ignite standpoint, I think we're going to continue building our brand as far as we're not an events company, but we are very strategic in being able to bring the right technical folks together in the room. And if we take a look at all the channels that's available from email, LinkedIn, or whatever you use from a marketing side, nothing replaces that handshake, right? And meeting and networking, right? We call them spiders. Like Tony is a big spider. He's got a massive network and he connects us to folks like you, EP, right? That just continue to grow this. It's a very grounds up type of focus. So we're going to continue to grow there. We're doing CXO series. We're on the road show with Supermicro. And in the back half of the year, it looks like we're going to probably be on the road every month. And somewhere in there, we're going to slip in AI-INFRA 4, probably in October. On the AI infra side, you can find us at aiinfra.live, and EP was scrolling through some of the website there. We have so many changes every day, but we try to make that as updated as possible, and we want to make sure that this is the best learning experience and connecting experience possible here in the Bay Area.
Bill, I know we're on a countdown. 8, 9, 10? Well, 2 weeks from Friday, this Friday. If there's a vendor that's out there interested in getting a table still, is there room or are you sold out?
We are closing the sponsorship doors this week. So, but if there's a vendor that comes in, we do put a lot of efforts in to make sure that they get the right exposure. So I think for the right vendors, we'll always have that conversation. But for the most part, we're going to be locking in and start focusing on the on-the-ground production.
Okay, there you guys have it. Reach out to Bill, and Bill will get you connected with Jessica. She rocks. She's a rock star behind the scenes, and you still got a few days left. And listen, let me push you. Take the jump. Make it over to Mountain View. It's on May 2nd, Friday, kicking off at what, 8 in the morning, 10, 9?
Doors open at 9.
9.
Presentation starts at 10. I think Tony's panel is going to be in the afternoon, so come and get uncomfortable with Uncle Tony.
Get uncomfortable with Tony. I love that, right?
No script required. You will be jolted.
Couldn't have picked a better title for his gig. Hey guys, I want to thank you for being on with me today, especially when we do these live. You never know what's going to happen. But you guys are rock stars. You guys are very comfortable doing these, and definitely looking forward to going out. Thank you for inviting me out. I'll be at the AI-INFRA conference. Going to be repping Epic Hype, going to be repping Kendo, anything else I can talk to under the sun, but really just to get some great conversations for those guests in attendance, the vendors, and bringing it back for everybody that couldn't make it because they're too burned out or lost their voice because of the big one the week before. So with that, to my Epic audience of 5 loyal enthusiasts, I thank you all for being here with us today and giving us some of your precious time. I want to thank our sponsor today, once again, Kendo. If you're looking for an AI native security and infrastructure automation platform, you don't need to look any further. That's they have an agnostic platform that's got all of the LLMs that these guys talked about today, and then a bag of chips. And it's catered for the DevSecOps world. So if you're looking for a way to 10x your dev team, your SecOps team, your IT operations team that has the luxury of bringing a Swiss Army knife in and giving all those teams one tool to build automated workflows. Look no further, Kendo.ai. Thank you, Kendo. To catch more full-length Epic Hype episodes and short clip content, please follow me on Instagram at Epic Starts with EP. And again, that would be Epic Starts with EP. And you can also find more entertaining episodes and clips on YouTube. Search The Epic Hype Show, and please be sure to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe. That's a wrap, and tied up with a bow. I'm out of here. These guys are out of here. My name is EP. This is Epic Hype, reminding all of you that everything epic starts with EP. We'll see you guys all next time.
I need you to go.
Red light,
Good times, guys.
green light.
You guys enjoy that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we
fun
in?
today?
Are we cut?
Not yet.
Yep.
Can you hear my bump? Can you hear the bump?
Yeah.
Give me one of these.
Now
Oh, you got to do the eyebrow. Tony, you got to do the eyebrow.
I
Want
want
to
you
do the
to move
eyebrow?
like
We can do the eyebrow.
I need practice. I need practice.
Now when the strobe light hits, I want you to move like this.
Oh, good time, guys. Thanks for being on board, everybody. And that will be a wrap for the stream. Goodbye, everybody. And we